It's very usual for products at home to cross the borders of all the family. They're products that are used on the mum, the dad, the children. But you have to consider that actually with all those skin types there are differences. There are some products we can use the same, but there are times when we may need to use something a little bit more specific for us. A male skin, for example, is just much thicker, much more tolerant because it's shaved on a day-to-day basis for some. So it's able to cope with that kind of trauma on a daily basis or a weekly basis, depending on how often they do that, but it is definitely much, much thicker. Another concern for male skin is often hair growth, because often when you're blunting the end of the hair when you shave, you cause it to have that blunt edge rather than the pointed edge that it originally had, which goes through the skin very happily. A blunt edge has to push through and can sometimes cause a bit of trauma on the way. If the male skin is also dry, perhaps dehydrated, then you find that that hair can't even push through at all and it loops back in on itself, and that causes an ingrown hair, and then that can lead to an infection and a spot, and so it needs that individual care for that part of the skin. So men can still suffer from all of the same skin concerns as a woman can as well, but because they have that thicker skin, they tend to be just that little bit more tolerant unless they are over-treating the skin too. If a man actually opts to keep his beard or keep his moustache, then it actually is a great way to protect the skin. You'll find underneath it's very, very good quality skin because it's protected not only from the environment itself, but of course things like the sun. So it's going to be protected very, very well, and is actually supposed to be the most youthful part of their skin. The other thing about guys' skin is that generally speaking they don't wear the makeup, so they don't have that continual sort of covering over the skin that they have to deeply cleanse away. So guys will need some often very much more simpler routines that keep the skin resilient, especially if they are prone to eczema or psoriasis. But if they've got a really, really good healthy skin generally, then really keep the routine very, very simple. So a female skin is open to many things, and because we have that additional use of makeup on top of things, and I would say that generally speaking, women are seeking the next best thing for the skin. You know, they want to look good, they want to look healthy, they want to look vibrant, and therefore when they're looking for these types of products, that's when the overuse comes into play. So women's skin does need to be careful just that little bit more, just because it tends to undergo a lot more covering through makeup. A baby skin or a child's skin goes on quite an incredible journey, and I describe it as from plump to prune, because actually when you're born with this lovely, bouncy, plump, resilient skin that just can cope with anything, can recover, heal very quickly. Of course there are a few cases of people with babies with much more sensitive skin, and that's down to other factors. But on the whole, you know, when you're born, you have this wonderful canvas to nurture. And I know, as a mum of 3, that I want to look after those skin and really hold on to it for them, but also go through its natural processes, such as the hormones coming into play. So the types of products you need to look for children's skin is ones that really mimic what the skin does naturally. Ingredients like I mentioned before, such as jojoba, is really, really good ingredient for children's skin because it mimics natural sebum. It's not making it richer, it's not making it lighter, it's applying a product that actually mimics something that it does already, so it's going to hold on to and respond to it very, very quickly. If a baby is born with a difficult skin condition such as eczema, then it's really vital for you to re-educate the skin, but not in a complicated way. Keep things really simple and re-educate it with ingredients such as jojoba oil, which I've mentioned previously, because jojoba oil mimics natural sebum. So if you can replicate what the skin should be doing through an ingredient such as jojoba oil, then you're going to have a success rate on the skin and improve things very, very quickly and earlier on in life when the skin is able to recover and heal much quicker. Also with a baby's skin, you don't want to overdo it, over-treat it. You want to protect it, you want to, you know, keep it nourished, but you don't want to make it so that it doesn't even know what to do for itself. So remember that skin knows what to do naturally. Don't override it. Actually just kind of go with the flow a little bit, and often you won't need to apply product every day and night to a child, for example. You'll just apply it as and when needed. So a completely different application applies. So if we zoom on from babies to teenagers, you know, when things start to happen, hormones are still of course in play here, so you will work alongside what happens there. But also when they begin shaving, when they begin applying makeup, just teaching them really good fundamental things to do that keep the skin resilient, keep it tolerant, but also keeps it clean and soft, and doesn't strip the skin. It's so important at these phases. If you can hold on to this great skin that they're given to start with, the better result you're going to have in adulthood. So there's something that happens in the skin as we age. So as we go from baby to adult, your skin goes through a process of keratinization and cell renewal. And it starts off as a traditional 28 days that it takes for a skin cell to turn around from birth, that round, plump, juicy cell, all the way to being a flat and dead skin cell. But as we age, that can increase and can actually increase up to 40 days for that cell to renew itself. And that's why skincare needs to be so much more different when we're an adult as we are a child, because the needs of the skin statistically are very, very different. So as well as the skin cell renewal slowing down, you'll also find that moisture levels are going to decrease. We have something called the natural moisturising factor, the NMF, and you'll find that our water content within our skin really reduces quite profoundly. So it's really important for you to consider that when you're choosing the texture and the consistency of your products and how rich they are as to how light they are. You know, as an adult, we do tend to need just slightly richer formulas to hold on and to lock in that moisture, because that moisture gives us that lovely, you know, exuberant skin type that is not so lined or not so wrinkled. So, you know, we can't stop the skin aging, but we can soften the blow a little bit. So just be mindful that the changes that happen from baby to adulthood, and just make those tiny little changes and adaptations to texture mainly and to what you're using on your skin, and you'll hold on to good skin.